Hello, everybody. Hope you're all doing fantastically well. It's Connor here. We are back with a review of the game, a discussion on a few of the talking points that I want to go over. Obviously, Leeds losing out to Monaco at the York City Stadium. Is that what it's called now? It's at Monk's Cross for all you Yorkies, like myself. But yeah, 2-0 loss there. Got a few ideas from the Leeds starting 11, what it's going to look like, the strength of it as well. Heard some news after, I should say, the team got announced and obviously the fixture was played, that Jack Harrison and Tyler Adams look like they're about to miss the start of Leeds United's season, and that's going to go on till, according to Daniel Farke, after the international break. We also heard about Max Verba, which is all very peculiar. And this is why I always try and say, we'll get onto it, but just, keep your feet on the ground when it comes to certain players that are in the Leeds ranks now and suddenly, can just go, at the click of a finger. It's really that simple. An offer comes in and that's that. Let's have a look. Sam's having an absolute field day in the comment section. He's not happy with some people's comments. Sam, you're the one who's criticising everyone on all of these streams, my friend, when it comes to Leeds United. So read the room a little bit, my friend. But yeah, everyone's allowed an opinion. Of course they are. There's people who are happy with yesterday, people who are not happy with yesterday. Morning, Connor. I didn't see the match. Not exactly sure how it went. We'll go through it, Gordon. Don't worry, mate. Melee doesn't want to be here. It's pointless keeping players who don't want to play for the badge. Jamie says, we got work to do, pal. Where the 75 plus goals coming from? Morning, Connor. Hi, Jay. I get the players need fitness, but we need players with technique. Ampadu, Cree, and Dinny with Cine, presumably, with the only bright lights yesterday. With Villa spending the money, would it not be out of the equation just to go for after Buendia? I don't know, Bonnie. I think the only thing with Buendia is they're going to be looking. I mean, the money's going to be ridiculous. He's still young. He's still got a lot to, work for, in my opinion, at Aston Villa to impress someone like Unai Emery. And I think maybe the system might go against Buendia at Villa. Obviously, they're going to be a little bit more conservative when it comes to the defensive structure. But I think he can still profit there, and we simply don't have that money. Let's have a look. Thought we were good in the first half, but when they put their players on, we struggled. Yeah, I thought that as well. Morning, Connor. Long hard season ahead. We need new signings. Yeah, so let's get into the obvious news. And guys, please like the video before we start today. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure if you want some bonus content, we've got TikTok, we've got Patreon. Head on over, link in the description below. So I think overall, the Verba chat's something that we need to start on. And I think the reason I wanted to touch on this is because maybe fans are getting a little bit excited. And I've said this behind closed doors and stuff. And naturally, it's the pessimistic, negative tag that you get cut with all the time. But it's just football. It's simple. Someone like Verba, at championship level, he's only been at Leeds, 6 months? 10 million quid. I think he will attract attention. Now, there's two sides to this. And you guys will know this, and there's people in the comment section below who have been on the same wavelength as I have. Am I bothered about Verba in the championship? No. Am I bothered about losing him? No. And what we need to understand is just because he's now potentially leaving Leeds United, and this is off the back of Daniel Farke saying yesterday that he's involved in some transfer thing at the minute, hence why I wasn't involved yesterday, which is evidently him paraphrasing saying he's leaving the club. Was he good enough before you found out, in your opinion, that he was potentially leaving yesterday? Was he good enough for the championship? Of course he's good enough, but is it just this transfer now that suddenly now everyone's turning around and going, he's not good enough? Well, I've sort of stayed constant with Verba. He's all right. He's a decent player. He's hyped up way too much again because he thumps the badge a little bit of a passion merchant. You see him shouting every now and again on the pitch, and people seem to think that he's a leader. I don't really get that personally from Verba. I think he's decent. But I've always said this on here. Pascal Struijk, it's been such a shame with what's happened to him as a left-sided centre-back because the ceiling that he's had, Struijk's ceiling, if you can get him playing, if you can get Pascal Struijk with that mentality that I had under that period under Marcelo Bielsa for around about 12 to 18 months, if you get him playing like that again, you're able to beef up some of his attributes when it comes to his mentality, his physicality, and his leadership skills as well. If he's got some locked down there, he's a much better player, in my opinion. He's a much better player. He's got more to his game. In the air, reading the game, his awareness, his passing ability. I think he's a better footballer than Verba. However, would I say no to Verba in the Championship? Absolutely not. Of course not. But I think him leaving doesn't really bother me that much. It doesn't really bother me that much. The problem for me is then going to be replacing him, obviously. And I think it was all just a bit odd. And I think maybe a little bit of a wake-up call to everyone that just because someone's been pictured in training, just because someone's on the kit launch, just because someone comes out and says a quote about Leeds United, we all think that's it. They're staying. They're not leaving. They're Leeds. There. It's not happening. That doesn't happen. If an offer comes in, if a bid comes in from an attractive proposition, because obviously now Leeds are in the second tier of English football, they're gonna go. They're gonna go, guys. It's that simple. They're not just gonna stay because they played for Leeds and they like the badge and they like the colours and they like the people around the city. It's not gonna happen. They want to be playing top level football, and that can be Bundesliga, Serie A, it can be the Premier League, it can be whatever. So I think maybe it's just caution on the side of we're going to have these players in the Championship, because for me, we have to wait until the very end of the window to be really reassured about this. And the reason I say that is because we have got diamonds in that side. We've got diamonds, and I'm not saying Verba is a diamond, but when you're looking at Sinistera, when you're looking at Anonso, when you're looking at players of that ilk, Somerville, who I think his ceiling is very, very high, players like that, we all seem to think, and I know Marcia have reported it, AS Columbia have spoken about it too, about how they're willing to stay when it refers to someone like Sinistera. That doesn't mean it's happening. So feet on the ground, let's see what happens, and let's get on to a couple of positives of the game, about the game. 100%, he's so much better when he's playing his correct position. Pascal is awful. It's football, isn't it? I think we've been watching different players. Pal Strouk isn't a patch on Verba. That's not what I'm saying, Fraser. I'm saying in terms of ceiling, mate. I'm saying in terms of ceiling, and this is the thing with Verba. You're completely right. Pascal's not been good enough. I actually thought yesterday he was very, very, very good. I thought he was very good against Monaco. I thought he was one of the standout players. And if this is the thing, for me, I thought yesterday you saw the old Pascal. I think I agree with you. He's been very, very poor. Very, very poor. And I was saying it on the last stream. I was like, I actually said he's one of the players that Leeds need to move on. But seeing what he did yesterday and that performance that he put in, I thought he was very good yesterday. But Leeds is best defender by a country mile. So when I see that, I think to myself, there is a player in there. Can Daniel Farke get something out of him? And we forget, and I sometimes forget, that Daniel Farke is a very good coach. So like we saw with Marcelo Bielsa, can he improve these players? Someone like Pascal Strouk, I do think would, is going to be helped by someone like Daniel Farke. And maybe there are other players in this side who are going to be dramatically helped by Daniel Farke in terms of a coach and elevating them as a player. I think there's only a select few, to be honest. But Pascal Strouk is one of those players where I look at and I think, especially after yesterday's performance, I think, okay, well, he's against very, very good opposition there. He's been playing really well. We're going to get on to a few other players who played really well yesterday as well, by the way. And I'm thinking to myself, do you know what? Maybe there is something there. Maybe there is something there, especially with Verba leaving. Because you look at Pascal now, that's going to have to be his position. Unless we bring in another left-sided centre-back. But, you're hoping we are going to do that. But we're going to get on some of the left-sided centre-backs that we've been speaking about, and some of the centre-backs that we've been discussing as well as potential rumours to come to Leeds United, and if they are going to be good enough. But, yeah, I'm not saying Strouk's been great. I think the ceiling for Strouk is a lot higher than that of Verba. Especially, Verba last sort of 5 to 8 games with Leeds. What did we see there? We didn't really see much, did we? And yeah, that's when he's been playing, by the way, not when he's been out. Please send James back to Fulham. Would you bring in, who would you bring in as centre-back right now? Keep up the channel. Love the honesty and no BS. Say how it is and you love it. Thanks, Lee. Really appreciate that, buddy. Yeah, you're not going to get any BS on this channel. That's why half of it. But I'd love to pick up comments that disagree with me. I do it all the time. And, as I always say, football's subjective. I just have a very strong opinion on many things, as you guys know. So, yeah. Yeah, but I thought he was decent yesterday, Pascal, but thanks for your comment there. One good game does not make up for the last 3 years, even if he was playing left-back. His passing is, I don't know if his passing is atrocious, but yeah, it's not been good. It's not been good. It's not been good at all, so I agree with you then. I hope Verba stays. Yeah, so I think overall when we're looking at the game yesterday, Sinistera was impressive, wasn't he? Highly impressive in that first half. And this is what you're going to get with him. You keep hold of him. He's a match winner. He's a match winner in the Premier League. We all know that. I think it'll be interesting to see how many games he plays Obviously we've got another one left, haven't we? We've got Hearts, haven't we? We've got another one left after that. I'm not 100% sure. Normally they slot another one in, don't they? But if he's playing all of those games and he's looking good, teams are going to be watching, and hopefully Leeds can keep hold of him. Of course, Leeds can keep hold of him. But teams are going to be aware of Sinisterra because he's our best player by a country mile. I think anytime you see him go off, and this was us in the Premier League, wasn't it? Anytime Sinisterra's out the game, Leeds have got a problem because he's everything when it comes to Leeds' attack at the minute. I think Nonto, you saw him play yesterday, and it's like, this is perception. This is all perception, my opinion. You're looking at him and you're thinking, are you up for this? Are you up for this? Take the game by the scruff of the neck. Even if you're trying to prove yourself to another club, get hold of the ball and let's run at them. I thought he was a bit absent yesterday. Hey, I thought JB was poor yesterday. I don't think he really stamped his authority on the game, which I found quite disappointing. I did. Yeah, yesterday I found that very disappointing. There was another midfielder I thought played really well. But this is the thing with JB. It's going to take him a while to get into it. People are expecting Eberiche Eze when JB's come in. Just because he likes the slalom beyond players and he's press resistant and all this sort of stuff. You're not going to get that player straight away. He's going to take time, and I thought he was poor yesterday. But yeah, I thought when you're looking at someone like Sinisterra, he needs help. And I think Leeds are too direct at the minute. You forget, we all know when we had Pablo Hernandez, we had that perfect linkage from the defence to the attack. Perfect linkage in him. Obviously Phillips would start it, you get Click involved, but Pablo Hernandez would drop deep, get the ball and conduct. It's exactly what Emi Buendia would do at Norwich. The problem with Leeds now is we don't have a cam. And if you think, Archie Gray's that cam, he's not. If you think JB's a cam, he's nowhere near it. Gelhardt, in a strange sort of way, in that first half was dropping into that 10, but I don't think he's got that creative nous and a bit of, innovativeness and as I've just mentioned, creativity that Buendia has, that Pablo Hernandez has. They're very similar types of player. Being good in tight pockets. And I'm not 100% sure Joffrey's incredible in tight pockets sometimes. I think his decision making can be a bit poor. And I don't think Leeds are going to use him as a 10. But he needs a cam, Farker. We need a cam. And if you don't have a cam, the striker's naturally going to suffer because the cam and the striker, as you saw in Farker's system before when it was Buendia and Pukki, their synergy is absolutely imperative for a team to go up. It's imperative. And that link that Buendia and Pukki had for the Farke years was absolutely essential. And we don't have a cam now. It's too direct. So when Leeds get the ball, it's going straight into the striker, or the central midfielder is playing it straight to the striker. There's no cuteness about it. There's no cam taking a player on, maybe, committing a player, playing it left, playing it right, getting involved in the box. We don't have that now. We didn't replace Saiz. Then we kind of shoehorned Hernandez in there, who's unbelievable. But we do not have that player right now, and we need it. We are massively missing a player in there. So I'm seeing in the comment section below, who's your number one position? I've always said a goalkeeper's massive, and Leeds are going to have to sort this goalkeeper situation out. Well, they're going to have to sort it out. They're going to have to sort a centre-back. They're going to have to sort two central midfielders. They're going to have to sort a striker. But they need, the central midfielder and a cam can be the same position, I guess. But they have to sort a central attacking midfielder because you saw yesterday, there's Sinisterra who attracts 3 or 4 players. But that's it. It really is it. When you're looking at the, how decisive we are in the final third, how clinical we are in the final third, it's Sinisterra. That's it. God forbid, touch wood, he goes. There's not really much else there. I thought Archie Gray looked fantastic yesterday. I thought he looked brilliant. And we all know that about Archie, the cheeky little nutmeg in the first half. I thought he looked brilliant. But he's an 8. He's not a 10. He's not a Farke 10 either. He wouldn't be a Bielsa 10. He wouldn't, So, not that Bielsa played with a 10, but you get what I'm trying to say. He wouldn't be able to replicate that Hernandez role, the 2 different players. So yeah, I think that is something that Leeds have to get sorted. Overall, when I'm looking at the game, we'll go through the intricacies of it. Leeds need additions. I still think there are going to be players that go out. I've heard before that we need 2 or 3 more players. We don't need 2 or 3 more players. We need more than that. We need 2 keepers. So you're looking at that spectrum. We need more players than that. And I've said this for 2 years. The profiles Leeds have struggled. Leeds have struggled to find a central midfielder for years. Yeah, even when we went into last season, I was crying out for another CDM because I was like, if Adams gets injured, Adams gets injured, what we're gonna do? Didn't do it. Left back, didn't go and do a left back. Oh, it's fine. Stop being greedy. But you need to sort these positions. You need players in each and every position in the championship. You need depth. And going into the season and underestimating the championship is completely deluded. It's completely deluded. You know. So I think it's a big week. It's a big week. When do we kick off? Is it 2 weeks? It's 2 weeks now. It's 2 weeks. And this isn't all negativity, by the way. It's not negative. It's been productive. It's looking for... Change your mindsets when you think this is me being negative. It's not. It's me saying, if we get these profiles sorted, we get these players in, we get 2 players, essentially in every position, the Bielsa thing, which was never sorted under Bielsa anyway, because we'd shoehorn certain players, Berardi, Dallas, whatever, into certain positions. If you actually got depth there, you can then look at it at the start of the season and go, right, we're ready. It might take us a while to get into it, but we're ready now. We're ready. Let's go. It might take us 2 or 3 games to really get that cohesion, those partnerships sorted, but we're ready. I've heard already, it's Monaco, it's a Champions League team. I'm not asked who it is. I'm not bothered who it is. We're showing the same tendencies. There's a lot of nice possession football, which you can tell is the Farker imprint, but we're showing the same tendencies as we've shown before. We struggle under a high press. We're direct with the attacker because we've not got that cam or that midfield link from the middle of the pitch to the attacking side of the pitch, and we're not clinical up front, and we always rely on Sinistera, and he's the main focal point of our attack. All these things are still the same going into next season, so these things need to be sorted. These things need to be sorted because what you don't want in the Championship is to Leeds to be predictable, and that's what I'm a little bit fearful of. It's a massive week for Leeds United. Thanks, Luke. Is it focusing on my wrinkles, mate, and my baggy eyes? Nearly 30, mate. Can you believe it? Nearly 30 years old. Do I look 30? Everyone in the comment section, tell me if I look 30. Please boost my ego. Of which I have none. Mishu is the French. Aronson says, Sam, yeah, I've not seen a lot of him. Mishu doesn't really look like a 10. He's more of an 8. Yeah, Kaya and... Spoke to my mate, he's a Sunderland fan who I work with very closely. He said he's a really good player. You'll have seen that on my Twitter. If you follow me on Twitter, he's a really good player. I know a lot of Sunderland fans have said that he's not really that he didn't really get as many minutes as they wanted. And yeah, he's a lot of Sunderland fans. There's mixed reviews, but there was mixed reviews on Buendia when Norwich first signed him from Cultural Leonesa. Why have we got him from here? Blah 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 blah. It could be a really good signing. Is he going to start week in week out? Because that's what we need. With Cine, I'd aim to play him every Saturday and avoid midweek fixtures to limit space and time out of his matches. Yeah, we need to be a little bit unpredictable with the starting lineup. But that's where, Jamie, you have depth. That's where you have depth. If you're not going to play Sinistera every single match because you want to maybe fluff the opposition in terms of, we need to just man mark Sinistera out the game, you need to have depth. And if you haven't got depth, then there's no point. Are we going to keep hold of Somerville? I don't think Nonto's going to be at Leeds. My personal perspective, I don't think he's going to be at Leeds. That's my thoughts. September 6th. He might start the season with us. I don't think he's going to end the transfer window with us, to be honest. So there's lots to do. I'd struggle to look at a game like that yesterday and say, it's just Monaco or a Champions League. Monaco, and it's not one or two. Loads of people have been saying this. It's Monaco. It is Monaco. You're right. They are a Champions League team. They're a top French outfit. They are, when Ben Yedder's on the pitch, you're thinking flipping it. But it's Leeds' tendencies that we're all used to. Going into the new season, it's still the same tendencies that we're used to. It's when we're in the attacking third, our decision making. It's when we're in the attacking third, it's who are we looking to pass the ball to, and that's the number one option. It's our finishing. It's how clinical we are. These are all things that it's not dependent on Monaco. It's us. Yeah. Rob says, who would you fancy at the number 10? Elias Chair. I think he's gettable as well. I think with the money that Leeds have got, I'd love someone like Elias Chair. I think he's proven it in the Championship. He's a top player. He is of the Buendia mould, and I'd be stunned if he wasn't on Farker's list. I'd be really stunned. Elias Chair would be perfect. He'd be perfect. Bonnie Barker says, there you go, Bonnie. Good minds think alike. I think they'd be 2 top editions, Bonnie. I think there'd be 2 top editions, by the way. You look 27. Cheers, Robs. Thanks, mate. Late 20s, mate. I'm nearly 50. There we go. I Hard paper. Feels like it, mate. Feels like it. Jeez. Slightly over 30. Richard doing me in. 15, I'll take. Melee still gets my back up when he messes about with the ball at his feet. Do you think he will start the first league game? He worries me. I do, Graham. Yeah, I think he's going to be between the sticks, mate. How are Leicester getting Mavidi? Yeah, it's good sign, innit? Good signing. And this is it. You know, Sam Byram. Let's talk about Sam Byram. So came on yesterday. It was okay. He's a player who fits a certain type of profile. He's not a fullback for me. He's a wing back. He's always been a wing back. Can play left, can play right. As a rotation option, a complete rotation option, by the way. Someone who's on the bench, I don't mind it. He's not reliable. He's not dependable. He's always injured. And his career's gone, in my opinion, nowhere really since he left Leeds with the hype that he had. Which I think fair play was generated by a lot of Leeds fans. I think he's bang average. Bang average. But maybe that's where we're at the minute when it comes to rotation. We're not going to be getting a player of high skill and high technical ability if we're in the Championship. He's a fine profile. He's okay for rotation. But my target would be to get. What I don't want to see is when you pretend. I know he's subject to moves here and all this sort of stuff. But when we're in our heads, we're competing with Southampton and Leicester, right? Let's be honest. Southampton and Leicester. You know, if I'm seeing Pereira, I'm seeing maybe Luke Thomas. I'm seeing whoever it is at Southampton, Kyle Walker-Peters, Ryan Manning. These level fullbacks. If I'm seeing that. And then Leeds United, your Dewsbury Hall, who can play left back as well. Leicester utilised him there in some games last year as well as central midfield. If I'm seeing that and Leeds are starting the season with Firpo just gone out the door and Sam Byram at left back, well, you know, Sam Byram at left back and Luke Ayling at right back. You know, listen, I'm not here to be a martyr. What I'm saying is there needs to be work done. Work needs to be done. And I'm not on this mantra that there needs to be 2 or 3 players signed because people are underestimating the Championship. People are only saying, in my opinion, 2 or 3 players need to be signed or 3 or 4 players need to be signed because they're underestimating the Championship. And yeah, people have done that for years. Let's see what the Championship's like. All right, let's see what it's like. Because I don't think, you know, last year there was the calibre of a Southampton and a Leicester in the Championship. Two teams who've been in the Premier League for 10 plus years and have come down with naturally those resources in terms of player as well. I'm not saying they're going to win the league. Leeds could win the league, and I'm not saying that can't happen. But I'm saying there needs to be investment, and I'm not saying they won't do that either. But what I'm trying to say here, everybody, is we need to raise those expectations, raise that standard bar. Because I'm not having that. If we're starting the season, we've got Sam Byram at left back. Fucking hell. The fullbacks are massive, or wingbacks are massive in football nowadays. When Sam Byram's getting injured, you know, constantly throughout the season, and we're relying on that, that'd be highly disappointing for me. So there's stuff that still needs to be done. Connor, you are being deluded. It's far worse than you are stating. Apart from 3 players, they're utter garbage. Okay, fair enough. I'm pretty sure I've just said... have you just listened to what I've said, Paul? Listen, I'm not saying he's not a bad player, Sam Byram. I'm not, but there's no way I'm going into the Championship season with Sam Byram as left back. I mean, he's a right-footed player. You know, I saw him put in a cross yesterday, and it was a decent cross with his left foot, and people saying that's what Sam Byram can do. Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? Like, come on. Just because they're now a Leeds player or they're wearing a Leeds kit doesn't automatically mean that they're fantastic. It doesn't, you know. And I want to see a left back. I'm still looking at, you know, who was another player we had at that period of time who was a left back? It was Charlie Taylor, wasn't it? You know? Get him in. Just get him in, man. Flipping out. Is it that difficult? But listen, as I say, big week for Leeds. Positives, anyway. Ethan Ampadu. 22 years of age. I thought he was absolutely excellent. Really played well yesterday. Thought he dominated the pitch for large portions of it. Really impressed when Drama came on as well. Thought he did really well. Cresswell, this is what I mean. He was okay. He's okay. I think he's a bit rash still. I think, you know, Yeah, and listen, I know he's a Leeds lad. Everybody loves Richard, and you know he's been captain on the under-18s. Still a little bit rash. Still, I'm not convinced on him massively on the ball. Still a long way to go there. Still a long way to go. Hence why I didn't play every single match for Millwall. Even Gary Rowett understood that. So need a centre back in. Let's not just go with this thing of, oh, he's a Leeds lad, let's keep him in. No, we need another centre back there to compete. I'm fine with Reece Oxford. Nat Phillips, I'm looking at a little bit and thinking. The more you watch, if you know, even if you just go, I mean, even when you go and watch your compilations of Nat Phillips on the best things that he's ever done, you even watch Nat Phillips and you think he's Cresswell, isn't he? He is just Cresswell. You know, a big, physical, imposing centre back who'd had his grandma to win a football match. Do you want someone with a little bit more technical ability? Do you want? I mean, I know we're linked, and I was speaking about injuries earlier on, and naturally it's going to be difficult with this individual, but someone like Reece Oxford, you know, that would be a proper signing. I'd love that. The issue is, obviously, is he going to pass his medical because he's constantly injured as well. So it's going to be difficult for Leeds to find that right profile at centre-back. But yeah, Ethan Ampadu, fantastic yesterday. Cine was obviously very, very good. Bamford, not... God. Still there and still doing the same things. So yeah, listen, he didn't get a mass amount of chances, of course, but I'm looking at the running off the last man. I'm looking at wanting the ball. I'm looking at being in the right positions when balls are coming into the box. Just nowhere. And even when the ball lands at his feet, am I thinking he's going to put it in the top corner? Nope. So yeah, I think everybody, it's that side of things, isn't it? It's that side of things that we need to massively improve on when it comes to depth, and I think everybody knows that. So yeah. I mean, I'm even looking here just at the depth, for example, of Southampton, and these players are potentially going to leave, of course. But even when you're looking at the fullback region, I was mentioning this earlier on. There's a fair few players, but when you're looking at striker, you know, the players that they can use there, you know, you got Shea Adams, obviously I know a lot of you guys don't like him. Seydou Mara, who Leeds were after, remember, who's us in Southampton, trying to get him. Nathan Teller, who can play anywhere along that front line. You've got Adam Armstrong. So there are players there of which you're looking at and you're thinking they might not keep hold of all of those, but there's depth up front. Leeds, it just feels at the minute that they've got Bamford again, you know. So... Listen, Monaco's not defining. Of course it's not. A game against Monaco is not defining, but I'm still just looking at the threats that we've got up top, and I'm still thinking, I'm looking at that team yesterday, I'm thinking, actually, Archie Gray is one of the biggest threats. You know, and he's a kid. It's like, you know, we need a little bit more up there for me. Go on, you got a spider running across your mic. Oh, have I? Where is he? No, I don't think I have. 49ers have said significant investment will be done. They have said that. Nida says, is Nat Phillips not just... This is where I'm at, mate. Yeah, I'm a little bit like that. Yeah, I don't mind it. It's okay. Bring him in, whatever. But this isn't one of those signings where, you know, I know it's going to be if he comes in, everyone's going to be absolutely buzzing because it's a signing. But, you know, you have got to look at some of the signings and thinking, is it going to work? You know, remember getting absolutely hammered for not wanting Weston McKennie at the time. Remember getting absolutely blasted for that and getting called all the names under the sun by Americans and by a lot of Leeds fans because I thought it was a bit of a interesting signing. Nat Phillips would be one that you'd bring in, but I'm a little bit like, what does he add? He is just a Cresswell, isn't he? He's the exact same. Yeah, Football AMC. Great shout. Ollie Skip, you know, once again, worked in that Norwich system, didn't he? Very, very well. Good player, Oliver Skip. Once a bit similar profile to Adams, though, isn't he? But if Adams was to go, that's where I'd like, you know, I'd like that one. But yeah, guys, overall, happy with it. I am happy with it. Happy with the performance levels yesterday, of course. And listen, Leeds are going to go into Hearts next, isn't it? And hopefully we're going to be able to get a victory over the line. But we're going to be back, obviously, with some more Leeds content throughout the week. Make sure you subscribe to the Patreon if you want some bonus content. We're over on TikTok as well. Head on over to Twitter and all this sort of good stuff. Guys, before you leave, make sure you like the video. Let me know in the comment section below if you agree, disagree, whatever. And I will see you in a bit. Cheers, guys.